Welcome back to the Z2H podcast. I am your host, Denny Dumas, producer Carl. We're going to start with a question.
Let's go.
Carl, we want to get to know you better.
What's the question today?
Well, you just mentioned that you were born in Italy, so there's a fun fact.
Yep.
Question of the day for Carl. What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Bubblegum, 100%. And it's so hard to find.
Sounds like you've searched. When was the last time you found it?
I don't know. Sometimes you go to like specialty ice cream places and they have it like randomly, but like in a store, like Safeway or whatever, you're never going to find it.
Did you know that a Rocky Point ice cream is opening just down the street?
From my place?
No, right here.
Really?
Yeah,
Ooh.
literally a block
Do they
away.
have bubblegum?
They're not open yet. They're doing run-outs, but they're going to be open. So
Ooh, check it out.
in a couple months when they open, we can get a pre-podcast ice cream.
That sounds good.
Our guest today. This is exciting. You got a lot of shit going on, Ashley.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's a nice way of saying it. No, I don't know.
How would you say it?
I don't know.
You're a mom.
Yes.
You host a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yoga instructor. It's a lot of shit.
It's decent.
Even just being a mom is a lot of shit. So adding on top of that a business and a podcast.
It's special. Let's just put it that way. And when it rains, it pours. And I chose to rain on myself. That sounds terrible. Yeah, it's great. It's life.
Fair enough. All right. I would love to hear a little bit more about your background. More like pre-yoga instructor days.
Yes. So I've only been teaching for about 2 years. I say only. About me, I'm a Vancouverite born and raised. I've lived a bit in Greece and Montreal.
Cool.
And like our friend Carl, I'm Italian and Austrian. Not like that has to really do anything within the past 10 years. I worked at Lululemon for 8 years. So that was a huge part of shifting my life and to where I am. And what else about me?
In Vancouver at Lulu?
Yeah. So I've held a total of 6 different jobs when I worked for the company. I was also a bit of a boomerang. So I left and came back twice. No, I've quit 3 times now.
Ooh.
Yeah. And hey, guess what? You can always go back. And lastly, I was working at the Coquitlam store. And when my mat leave was up, they actually made me an ambassador. So I'm still tied to Lululemon, and they've been a huge part of my success in my current career. Before yoga, I actually tried yoga 10 years ago and didn't like it. I thought it was stupid. I originally joined yoga to meet friends, which then I quickly realized you don't talk in yoga. So that idea went out the window, and I was like, oh, maybe I can try Pilates. Nope, same shit. So I left that, went back to lifting weights, and then I got heavy into boxing. So I've had a couple of amateur fights.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And
Can you pull that up on YouTube, Carl?
actually one of my fights is on YouTube.
Wow.
Yeah. The chick who I fought posted it, and that was like my glory days. So 2 amateur fights. It somehow made me ranked 4th in the province for my weight class at that time. But that's
I'm
also
assuming you won both?
Yes. Yeah.
Going out on top, 2-0. I'm not.
Okay. Oh my gosh. So high school was 15 years ago. I'm assuming we're all around the same age. And do you remember when there was big strikes in schools?
Mm-hmm.
And so
we went to a private high school, so we didn't get to take advantage of the strikes.
But we remember.
We remember
them.
Oh, yeah, we're still bitter about them.
So I was in grade 12 when there was the strikes, and I used to do a lot of wrestling, and I was the shittiest wrestler in the entire world, gangly as fuck, just didn't know what I was doing. But because there were the strikes and a lot of schools cut this after school programs and sports first, I made it to provincials. So I kind of think of it as the same way with my boxing. I was like, I was named number 4 in the province. There was a strike of adults. Anyways.
What voice was that?
I don't know. It's creepy a little bit. I also enjoy on my own podcast, talking into the microphone.
Do you ever do characters?
No.
No?
Well, I think
Except
we just
for
had a
today.
character right there.
There's one, yeah.
I don't know. Does that answer your question? Boxing,
I don't even remember the
life?
question. I'm just obsessed with that voice you just did.
I don't know. This one time, at band camp. I was on a podcast, which no longer exists. And I mean, I've recorded my own podcast, but I haven't ever really been on one. So I was really nervous. And so I just remember he'd ask a question and be like, what's your favorite ice cream flavor? And I'd be like, steak. So I hope today's not a steak day.
Seems to be flowing a little bit smoother than that.
Okay, great.
I want to start fairly heavy. Mm-hmm. And not that I know much about your history, but I've read a little bit of your bio on your website. And one of our previous guests named Megan, who works in the mental health field, talks about the big T's, so big traumas. And I was going through one at the time, so I shared my story and we just kind of talked about it. But sounds like you've had two recently. So I want to...
God, what's my trauma?
Bring them up. Huh?
Oh my God, what's my trauma?
Well, one, ending a marriage.
Oh, yeah. No shit.
And I would classify postpartum depression as a trauma.
Oh, yeah. How about let's talk about childbirth as a trauma? Holy shit.
That's right.
We're not going to go there. We're not going to talk about the afterbirth and placenta. But I mean, if you want to. I have 15
nieces and nephews, so I've heard the stories a few times.
Okay, great. Yeah, like let's go full tilt boogie. Let's just say the past 2 years have been a shit show, and it has rained and poured and been sunshine and rainbows. And childbirth was like one major great experience that taught me a lot about resiliency of the human body and elasticity. But then also, like, through that, there was so much with bringing a child into this world that I wasn't emotionally prepared for or that I thought I would be facing. So let's start off with the first trauma, which is the ending of the relationship. And I want to be mindful and be able to share eloquently without my ex getting pissed at me.
Totally. I think that, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
There's a fine line with that, and especially because I'm currently going through it, so I just want to be careful for financial reasons. But
yeah,
I don't know. I think there was a lot of shit that went sideways on both sides, and I always take the point of view that, like, I make mistakes. Mm-hmm. Everything is my fault. I put myself in a situation that was shitty, and so now I have to deal with the consequences. Not that I'm like I would ever blame on her, even though there was some mistakes on her side too. But I just always think of it from my point of view as I put myself in the situation, now I have to deal with it. Mm-hmm. It's fairly refreshing to have that mindset. Whenever you're blaming other people and basically thinking that your life is out of your control, it's a downward spiral, I think. And
I think, like, for me, that's the way I was for a year and a half. Mm-hmm. Once shit was really starting to hit the fan and it all started coming down, I want to say, there was a lot of blame that I was putting on him. And also, like, rightfully so. Anyone who says, I love you, but I'm not in love with you, make that 3 weeks postpartum. Yeah, no shit, I'm going to be pissed off. No shit, I'm going to go into a deep, dark spiral of postpartum depression and try and save my marriage. And that marriage was not the right one. And I didn't know it in the moment. And I was trying desperately to save it and raise a human and deal with my own thoughts of suicide and not being enough. I was okay with being angry for a very long time, especially with how quickly he moved on, which made me start to get angry all over again. But what I realized as well was that, hey, I have so much freedom now in being able to start fresh. I get to create what my life is going to look like. I get to move forward and podcast, because I started podcasting 2 months after giving birth. You know, I started teaching right away afterwards. So, like, I had these great abilities because of this relationship that I was in, even though it was ending. But that gave me the freedom to be able to go out and do really cool shit with my life and be there for my daughter, which was, like, obviously the best part. So yeah, first trauma, when that marriage pretty much ended 3 weeks after giving birth, my world was upside down. And how could I function? How can I try and, like, essentially try and make this person love me while my bodies, like my tits were so swollen and stretched, like they looked like big old fake Pamela Anderson titties. And like, I'm flat, like I'm a sporty girl. So I was like, I've got giant boobs, and there's a child sucking on them, and then they're bleeding. And then the rest of my body is totally changing. But then like, love me, husband. Anyways, shit show. Hormones, the thing. Where was I going with that? Hormone shit show,
the timing
trauma.
on his part was not ideal.
Yeah, how
3
did that?
weeks?
Oh, dude.
How long before that did you notice that it was sideways?
I started having like a gut feeling that something was off when I was pregnant.
So roughly a little less than a year.
Yeah. So I was starting to feel like, hey, something's not right. Like, when someone's pulling away from you, when they're not 100% in it with you, they're not in the trenches like you need them to be. And I was starting to notice that. And I also wanted to give space because like, I'm very much like, pay attention to me. And so, yeah, of course, like they're dealing with the fact that they're about to have a new human that they're responsible for. I'm about to go through a major life change. So yeah, things are going to change. The relationships and the dynamics are always going to be evolving. But there was something in my gut was like, this isn't right. And then when I was talking to my other girlfriends and I was like, thinking about the way I've seen their husbands treat them and certain things they would do, I wasn't necessarily seeing that in my relationship. And through that, and like even after I gave birth, and I was one who brought up the questions being like, hey, like what's going on? You don't seem to be like emotionally present. You're not here with me when I need you. And then that's when it started to come out. And then my gut was like, whoa, you need help. Like I can't do all of this on my own. And so obviously I called in like my friends, my family, my support group to be able to support me the way I needed to. Hi, new human. And then, yeah, the relationship kept on changing. Like we were trying to go to therapy. We're working on it, but nothing was really changing. And for me, I kept on pouring from an empty cup over and over and over again. And I was so fucking depleted that it came a point in time where it's like, this isn't, no matter how hard I try, it's not being met. So like why, I know the love that I am deserving of. And I know that there is someone out there who will kiss my feet and give me all the back rubs and be the emotional support that I need. And that just wasn't the relationship anymore. And then once we finally came to it, when I was like, well, I'm not going to beat a dead horse anymore, it almost felt like there's a weight lifted. And then to see how quickly he moved on after we moved apart was like, oh yeah, my gut was right the whole time. And for me, I'm like, yeah, I'd way rather be single and navigating this new life than to try and be forcing a relationship that wasn't the right relationship to begin with.
I'm assuming the answer is being pregnant, but like when you start having those thoughts, what is pulling you back and saying, maybe it's just a bad day, maybe it's just a bad week, like let's keep trying?
Oh my God, like sheer blind love. You look at someone and the person who you marry, you see that person as being your one soulmate. This is your person for life. This is it. This person ticked all the boxes. They were right for me. And I knew that this was the person I wanted to marry. But just because this is the person who I married doesn't necessarily mean that is the person that they stayed. Mm-hmm. And I wish him the best of luck in his new life and everything that he's doing. And I'm very clear that we are on two completely different paths from what we originally signed up for and what we wanted to be doing. Because what he's doing now is not at all in line with the goals that we saw our life going towards. And for me, I'm like, whoa, I've been on like an uphill trajectory for my success and my growth and just being able to like use my voice as a bigger platform to get people mental health support, to be doing what they need to be doing in their bodies so that they're happy. And I'm like fucking recording cool podcasts. So yeah, I just felt like that love for what we had and the idea of what I had for marriage was really what kept me going. And I also thought, hey, if we can get through this, we can get through anything. Because if you can get through that after giving birth, fuck, bring it on. You know, I want someone who's the Starsky to my Hutch. Oh my God, just
there's gonna be a
nodded.
ton of good analogies in the next hour like that.
Oh, I hope so. All the analogies I have for my little one, she's like the Hall to my oats.
How old is she?
She's 22 months.
Cool. What's her name?
Eden. She's fucking dope. Show me. Are we friends on Instagram, like beyond Kilter&Mint, like my Ashley Belluz account? Okay, that's fine.
No, I don't know.
Because I post wicked videos of her. Yeah. And she's got this sweet personality. She's just, oh. And it was hard because like trauma number 2.
As of 8 seconds ago, I follow you, but you don't follow me.
Okay, great. Well, I don't follow you back. Well, I have my phone on airplane mode because I don't want to be a dick. Yeah, trauma number 2. Like,
I want to ask one more question. With the marriage ending, what was there like a point that you remember that was just like, okay, we have to move away from each other now? Because for me, there was such a specific one moment.
What was your one moment?
Something she said. So I had a lot of the same feelings. Obviously, I was not pregnant, so that obviously adds a different dynamic for you.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of the same moments of just feeling like I'm grinding my head or hitting my head against the wall and just trying things over and over and over and getting nothing back, and just feeling that like mentally she was checked out a long time before, and this was like a year and a half. It was a long time. The moment that made me realize and like flicked a switch, and I was the same as you, thinking, marriage is something supposed to last forever. I have to get through this. I need to be the one that is the backbone. Sure, maybe she's battling some other stuff that I need to be supportive of, whatever. But there was this one moment where she said to me, it was in like a little bit of an argument, but she's just like, I don't even like being around you anymore. And she left and went and hung out with her friends. And so like that night I was like, Craigslist, I need to find something to move out to. And it was like 4 days later I moved out.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you had to deal with that.
It is what it is.
Oh, it still sucks.
Oh, it was really shitty.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we've been apart for a little over a year now. And the last year has been like the best 12 months of my life. In terms of like being myself, I feel like I'm
Do you feel
never
like you're
gonna
back home?
I feel like I'm never going to sacrifice who I am ever again.
Yes. I'm never going to play small. I'm never going to be someone's perfect little housewife. Yeah. I think actually, now that you say it, there's a lot of conversations that replayed when when we were sharing that. What's appropriate for me to say? There's this one point where we were eating out a lot or using DoorDash and whatnot, and he said along the lines of like, you're home all day, like of course you should be making dinner. And for me, I'm like, you married a fighter. You married a boss ass bitch. I'm not staying home and cooking you dinner. Like, I'm out doing my thing. I'm living. And I was like, oh yeah, this is not the marriage for me. Because like, no, this like to me, where's the equal partnership in a relationship? Whereas, I'm not going to cook dinner every night. Plain and simple. And you're not cooking out of principle because you think that I should be. Well, that's not going to work. So that became very clear that I was like, okay, our relationship is very much done.
I feel like as soon as you start expecting things from the other person, it's screwed.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, I mean,
thinking I'm doing this, they should be doing at least this.
Yeah. And there were some interesting power dynamics. Like a lot of the reasons why I was able to start a podcast and pursue teaching yoga as my career was because of how financially supportive he was, and how he did want me to spend time with our daughter and be able to have that quality time with her from an early age. And I recognize now that, hey, that relationship's not there anymore. How am I generating revenue and income to be able to support myself long term? So, hey, if you have any job openings for real estate, let me know. No, just kidding. I don't know shit about real estate.
I didn't 5 years ago.
Okay, cool.
You're not literally zero.
Such is life as a Vancouverite.
Totally.
Yeah. I had a thought. Yeah.
There's a lot. I could talk about stories all day about this.
And how old are you now?
I'm 29.
Okay, so we're ish, same age. Carl, how old are you?
Same age.
Okay. Oh, right. You went to high school. So I'm 32. And for me, I think that was like, I was like, maybe I can be that housewife. Maybe I can be like a little bit more like domesticated and put together or whatever it is you're looking for. And I'm like, no, I'm a sweaty human being.
Yeah, if you have to change who you are, it's not going to work.
No.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I'm not going to fit into anyone's box. I do know that a question that you ask all your guests and you didn't ask me was like, what are my words to describe myself? And my answer would be brash. That's been my word for 2019.
Okay.
And it's unapologetic, middle fingers up. This is me.
Perfect for podcasting.
Exactly. So I'm like, whatever relationship I'm going into, I'm going to continue being brash Ash or brashly, whatever you want.
That's hilarious. I love that.
Yeah.
It's just like a more aggressive way of describing what I described and being like, I'm not sacrificing who I am. You're just like brash Ash.
Brash Ash.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
You're doing me.
Exactly. Carl, what's your word for 2019?
Oh God, on the spot. Hope. Is that a good one?
It's
You tell
quite
us.
spiritual.
I know, right? I don't know. Just want to have a positive outlook for the year, I guess.
Yeah.
I haven't really thought about it. Yeah. What about you?
Brash.
Brash.
Yeah. You?
Okay.
I haven't thought about one word, but I would say either growth or optimism. Growth meaning like, I talk about this all the time. Every day I want to improve personally and professionally. So I want to do things that help our business every day, and I want to do things that help me grow individually every day. So growth, I guess.
Great. I like it.
All right. Trauma number 2.
Trauma number 2, my favorite trauma.
Okay, obviously as a male who has not had a child, I'll likely never have a child. I'm very curious because I don't know much about the psychology behind postpartum.
Yeah.
So I'm super curious. I'll let you kind of do your thing, but
Great.
not that I have insightful questions to ask detail-wise.
You know
I'm
what?
more just curious.
I think that's even better because some of the questions I get asked, I'm like, yeah, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, of course, I'm not going to suffer from postpartum depression. I'm a yoga teacher. Like, I'm so zen and so calm. Like, my childbirth, I'm not even going to scream. It'll be a, and the baby will come into this world. No, I was screaming my face off. They gave me fentanyl. Shit got real. But yeah, so like, as I said before, this shit was going down with my husband at the time. And that's when I started to clue in. People were like, oh, it's baby blues. It's baby blues. Because I was just feeling kind of sad, like all the time, like crying on the floor and couldn't get up. And I also had this feeling where like, everyone told you when you give birth, you know, it's like a scene out of a Huggies ad and they put the baby on the mom and they're just like, oh, I love you. And for me, I was like, cool, it's a human. Now what? What am I supposed to do now? Because
so it's like you didn't have that connection right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of moms are ashamed to say that, but it happens a lot more than
I hear
you
it's
think.
pretty common. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you were inside of me and I felt you kicking, but now you're here and now you need to like be on me 24/7. And I just didn't feel like that initial love. And I feel like an asshole for saying it, but it's true. And it took me like dealing with like, oh my God, is it because I've had a child that my marriage is ending? Like, what did I do wrong? Was this the right decision? So then I was like, oh shit, but it's baby blues. So is this normal?
Was it a feeling that you thought you would have right away?
Yes.
So you went into it thinking that like, once this thing is out of me, I'm going to be hugging it and I'm going to feel this.
Yeah, and there's going to be a fucking rainbow over my head and the heavens are going to be singing going, oh, it's love. Wasn't the case. Being stitched up down
None of the
there.
nurses sang
Nope.
for you?
No singing. I mean, I'd like to give a shout out to the nurses at...
In angel costumes.
Yeah. The nurses at Royal Columbian, you're fantastic, but... little piece of feedback, please sing next time. So I'm like home with this child. My husband's now back to work and I'm like, I'm feeling really sad. Like, this sucks. Like, did I make the right decision? And so many people are like, baby blues. I'm like, okay, it's baby blues. But then a couple more weeks were going by. I'm like, this doesn't feel right. And in my body, I knew it wasn't right. that I knew there should be at least like a little bit of joy. And I still felt like myself, but then there is the sleep deprivation and taking care of a tiny human. And then, I'm also making dinner all the time now. So for me, it went from being like, okay, I'm really sad to like, I'm numb and I'm not feeling really much of anything. And I'm really questioning, what the fuck did I just do? And is this what I want to be doing? I never ever had thoughts of hurting her, but I was like, is this my life? Is this how I saw my life? Is this, oh my God, like, am I gonna be a single mom? And then I was like, do I even want to live? And then that's when I was like, wait, time out. That shit ain't right. That's not baby blues. That's something more. So then I went to my doctor and she's like, oh, honey, let's get you some help. And then she's like, yeah, you get postpartum depression. So once I was able to label it and be like, oh, these feelings of wanting to kill myself aren't normal. Nothing I would ever act on, but still having those thoughts weren't healthy.
Do you think it's not normal though? I think it's probably more normal than we think. I think a lot of people just don't express it.
I think postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety is incredibly common, but it's something that's not talked about. There are resources and tools for getting help, but I don't think it's normal to think that you want to kill yourself after having a child. So being like, oh, well, this is normal, not so much, but more like it's common. And being able to switch that and be like, okay, what's normal? Being a little bit sad. Your hormones are fucked. But wanting to kill yourself, that's not normal. You need to get some help when that happens. And my delivery doctor was awesome. And she's like, yeah, let's get you on some meds, because the normal thing what you would do if someone's dealing with depression is what? Exercise, sleep, eat right. Well, all three of those are out the window when you have a baby. So yeah, you need to go and get some mental health and help. Mental health. I mean, yeah, I'd like a dose of mental health. But like, she put me on antidepressants right away. I had appointments at BC Women's and Children to go see a psychologist. Psychologist? I don't know. Psychologist? Whatever. Anyways, to go see somebody with a medical profession to be able to support me through that. And my mom was such a huge support. Like, yeah, I'm not getting enough sleep. So I had that village around me to be able to like take care of myself so I could brush my teeth twice a day. And that was like probably the best advice that I ever got from my doctor, was because I still wanted to go out and do everything. So I'm an overachiever, obviously. And she said, if you just brush your teeth twice a day and keep the kid alive, that's good. That's all you got to do.
Nice and simple.
Yep. So I made it a goal to brush my teeth once a day and keep my child alive.
My original thought once you say that is, I can tell that you're like very high energy. You use the word overachiever, meaning like you're excited and you want to keep growing. Mm-hmm. Was that almost like, I don't know, because obviously, again, I've never been in this situation, but that to me would seem like I'm setting up a really simple goal that would make me bored. You know, like the goal for today is to brush my teeth and keep my kid alive.
And that was hard enough as is.
Yeah.
Like I was like, if I can just do that, then I'm okay. And I didn't, because I was the type of person who's like, okay, well, when she naps, I'm going to do a load of laundry. When she naps, I can catch up on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I can go out for a walk, do all these other things. But I had to really force myself to keep that checklist to two things: brush my teeth, keep her alive. Then my day is done. So if we order DoorDash for the 5th time this week, I don't give a shit. And it's now I'm at a place where like she naps and I can go and do all those fun things. But I had to really like reel it back big time and actually have to do something which is so hard, which was ask for help, because I couldn't do it all on my own. And just like the simplest thing that you take for granted, like being able to just get into your car and go for a drive, was a very difficult task to do.
How do you slowly get over that?
Therapy. Antidepressants were huge, a major game changer for me. being able to have the right support system. Shout out to Justine, one of my girlfriends who also suffers from postpartum depression, whose child is 3 weeks younger than Eden, who was instrumental in being there for me at any time of day. I could call her, and being able to have those friends where we could like celebrate each other's progress. So her celebration the other day was she got both kids to daycare before 9 a.m. And I'm like, fucking rights, Justine, you go. You're the best mom in the entire world. I'm so proud of you. I hope you're going to give yourself a glass of wine at like 10:30. Because, yeah, you know, mom life. And another thing, in mom world, like wine o'clock is glorified. But really, wine o'clock is like, I need help. So when people are like, oh, you know, mom juice, have a glass of wine. It's like, no, it's like, this is like the one thing I can do to take care of myself. But then I also see a lot of moms who are like drinking during the day because it's another way to be able to alleviate stress. So if someone's saying they need a glass of wine, maybe what they actually are saying is they need help. It's my 2 cents.
What advice would you give for people like that?
Who are drinking a bottle a day? Or
stop drinking. Talk to people. Talk to someone.
Talk to someone.
Yeah.
Just talk to anybody. If you are struggling in any which way, know that is normal and not normal. Motherhood isn't rainbows and daisies, and you don't have to suffer it alone. And motherhood, like for anyone who isn't a parent, and if you two do have children in the future, wonderful. It's not all like sad and terrible and like your marriage is going to end or whatever. It's beautiful, and it's one of the most amazing experiences in my entire life. And it is hard. So knowing that you don't have to go through it alone, there's other moms who are feeling exactly the same way you are. And if you do have thoughts that are of harming you, your partner, or your baby, that it's okay to get help. Call a suicide hotline. It's not a big deal. They're really friendly people. They'll just talk to you if that's what you want. You know, that's all we really want. And is that connection for someone to be able to see us. And I think that's why my postpartum depression was so bad, was because I didn't feel like I was being seen or heard. Like I was crying out for help, and I wasn't necessarily getting it from the person who I thought I would get it from. And instead looked to all my other friends and my family to be that support system for me. And if you do want to drink a glass of wine during the day, go for it. Just don't like maybe drive the minivan afterwards.
That's good advice. Yeah. It also could get you thrown in jail.
It will also get you thrown in jail. Correct. Yeah. What else do you want to know about like postpartum depression? Like what else?
I think I think I more wanted to go with like, and maybe this is more just like an opinion of yours because you can't blanket statement something like this, but why are people so nervous or scared or embarrassed to look for help when they're when they're feeling these things, when they're going through depressive times, when they're going through a separation or postpartum as an example, or anything like that?
For me, I know that I really wanted to have a baby. This was the next sequence in my life that just checked off the boxes. So many women would die to be in my shoes, to be able to have a child and be able to conceive naturally. So now I've got this perfect, beautiful, angelic child. What's wrong with me for not loving, like not having that instant bond and love? Like what is wrong with me? So if I need to cry out for help, I better fucking suck it up and really enjoy this moment. Like so often, like if you're having a shitty mood, think about things you're grateful for. Well, gratitude is a Band-Aid. That's not actually going to get to the root problem of what's wrong. And so often it's like gratitude. What are you grateful for? And that to me, like, isn't enough.
It's just a distraction from the real thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or like, be happy. It's like, great, of course, I'd love to be happy. So I feel like there's a level of shame in terms of being able to ask for help and not being like, in our generation, being a bunch of millennials, it's like, oh, well, we get everything so easy to us. So like, is this another symptom of society being easier now? That like, oh, you have postpartum depression? Well, people are dying in the world. You know, life could be a lot worse. So I was like, yeah, I can suck it up. Like I'm getting taken care of. So how hard is it to raise a human and just like be happy with what I have? You know?
I think so. I don't know.
It's like you're convincing yourself that you're okay.
Oh yeah.
But you're not.
Oh my God. Do you know how many times I would be on the floor crying going, I'm okay. I'm okay. But this bitch was not okay. Denny, don't give me that look.
No. It's just, I'm super interested in that. Because that, honestly, I think that is what has got me through quicker than most.
What?
Is just the ability to be okay with where I'm at. And I think it's that mindset of just being like owning mistakes. I put myself in the situation, so now I'm dealing with it. This is just going to be a good learning experience. 5 years down the road, I'm going to look back and think I'm so much better for this.
Totally.
But that's what I think in my head when I'm feeling super pissed off and upset, which maybe is a bit strange, which maybe, because it sounds like you, in your situation, you almost felt like that was a Band-Aid and that wasn't really helping.
I didn't want to feel what I was feeling because the pain and the emotions were so deep and hard and horrific that it was easier just to function on a surface level. You know, when someone asks you how you're doing and you're like, I don't really want to answer that honestly right now. It's almost like a fear of being seen as well. A fear of being seen that I'm not perfect, that shit is hitting the fan right now, and that I don't have my life together. Because everything in this fucking Instagram world is everything's so great. We're only showing the highlight reel, that I'm not going to be posting on Instagram when I'm on the floor fucking crying. Or, you know, I spoke at an event not too long ago and I'm like, imagine if we posted all the things that actually are for our self-care that people don't see. So like, here's me getting my Botox done because it actually makes me feel really good about myself. Or here's me at the therapist. Hey, we're best buds. Cheers. Or here's me masturbating because that feels good and nobody talks about masturbation.
You probably need to be careful with that one. Posting a masturbation photo.
Oh my God, no. Yes, I mean, that'd be an SFW.
Not about masturbating. You masturbate as much as you want. I don't care.
Ladies of the world, please masturbate more. And don't be afraid to talk about it. Whole nother topic.
Like it.
Yep.
But at the same time, I think those are the things that are more powerful, to share what you're actually going through.
Yeah, and it makes you relatable. And when you're talking about growing your business and growing like our podcast and how do we get people actually engaged in it, people want to know the real you. When I listened to the episode of you and Brad and you were talking about your divorces, I immediately perked up because it created that sense of connection. And there was a very, very big piece of vulnerability that was like, yes, you two are my dudes. Great. We can talk about this shit. We can laugh about it maybe in a year or now. That's fine.
It's hard. Like, it's hard to bring up. It's not something that I'll go to a party and be like, hey, my name's Denny. I'm getting divorced. Oh, you are? How's that going? And then you go into it. But I'm so open and excited to talk about it. Even just the experiences. Sure, maybe it makes my eyes water sometimes, just like reliving the experiences, but I'm excited to talk about it because I want other people to understand that if they're in that situation, it's not right. Yeah. They need to move on quicker than I did.
Well, and it's so hard because no one goes into a marriage thinking it's going to end in divorce. No matter how
Especially
long
when
you were
come
married
from a
for.
Very conservative family.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, again, back to like that sense of postpartum depression and not asking for help is like that level of shame. And same thing. It's like, well, for me, I'm like, what's wrong with me that my marriage didn't work? I was like, nothing's wrong. I'm absolutely fucking perfect. Who are we kidding? Same with you, Denny. You're perfect.
Thank you.
You're whole just as you are. Namaste. God bless.
Can you do that fun voice again?
I don't remember which voice it is. Namaste. Vocal fry. No? Single list. That's my favorite when people are like, what'd you do? I went to the bank. And then that's it.
Have you online dated?
That's how I met my ex-husband. Oh yeah, Mama's been on the online dating forever.
There you go. All right, good for you.
I'm back on the Hinge. Don't ask me how it's going. Try online dating with a child. And I'm not one of those people who post pictures of their kid in their profile, because that's just wrong. So anyone listening, if you have a picture up with you and your child, take it down. There's a spot where you can say, do you have kids? Just say yes. You don't need to tell them their names or their age. You don't even need to say how long, you've been single for. But how quickly men are to, I don't want to say like disregard, but like be like, ooh, when they see that I have a kid. But I'm not going to hide. I mean, she's the most glorious human being in the entire world. So yeah, she's like, yes, I have a child. Do you want to meet her? No, actually, I take that back. I don't want people to meet her. But yeah, are you?
No.
Not ready?
No, I've kind of been dating another girl in the last few months.
Great. How's that going?
Pretty good.
Good. What would be like your word to describe how you're feeling about it right now?
More excited that the past is not necessarily reality. It was a bad experience that I thought was normal. When you're going through it, you're like, oh, this is what marriage is. You just kind of got to figure it out. There's going to be ups and downs. You're going to argue sometimes. In the end, you're just going to make up and it's going to be fine. But now I realize I was going down the path, and if we didn't break up, this could have been us in like 50 years, where you're like, you see these old couples walking in a park and they're walking like 6 feet away from each other and they don't say a word and they're walking for kilometers at a time.
Sleep in different rooms.
Yeah.
And that just the idea of being in that situation terrifies me.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that I was able to get off that path early in life.
Do you know what I tell myself all the time? I didn't just dodge a bullet. I dodged a bazooka. Because think about it. We're like, you and I are in this beautiful space where we get to start over and we're not even 50. Like, we haven't been married for 20 years and are having to like rediscover our lives now as if we were 50. We get to discover them now, who we are, where we're at. And really, in the grand scheme of things, from what I understood, your marriage was fairly short as well. It's like, at one point, we'll be able to look back and say this was just a blip in time. And how much we've grown and learned, and how we've found way better lovers and partners who get us, who will fill up our cups instead of poke holes in them.
100%.
I
feel the exact same way. Even now, it's kind of shitty because we're going through all the legal garbage now. Yeah. But I like, it's pushed me so much to start a podcast, put myself out there more on social media, and just like be who I am. So I've already found a lot of value in like the shittiness of how bad it was.
And the resiliency.
Totally.
Like, if I can get through this, I can get through anything.
I was a shy kid.
Oh, really? And now you have a podcast and you're a real estate agent?
I know.
What the heck? Real estate agents are like the furthest thing from shy.
There's a lot of different personalities. What's
like the worst personality?
I am not the used car salesman type.
Okay.
So that's the stigmatism of realtors. And
wait, the stigmatism?
Is that a word?
Something wrong with your eyes? Or?
What's the word?
Stigma.
Stigma. What's a stigmatism?
Stigmatism is when your eye goes like this.
Isn't that a twitch?
Stigmatism. Do you have cataracts too?
You can
actually,
get contacts.
One of my friends is an eye doctor, and he said I have 20/10 vision, which I didn't know existed.
You know what also you have? Vision whatever in New West is always double tapping your photos. I remember that from an episode.
They comment on almost every post.
I know, because after you said that on the interview with Anita, I went through on your Instagram and looked. I'm like, there they are. I found them. Shout out to Vision MD eye medical thing.
So strange.
It's working. You just got another shout out.
That's fair.
That's true. That's 2 shout outs in 3 episodes?
Yeah.
Keep it up, Vision. Keep it up.
Keep it up. Also, like, I just want to take a time out and say, like, I hope people don't think that I'm like ragging on my ex, because I don't want that to be the case.
I don't think you are.
No.
Okay.
Like, again, I'm very conscious of talking about it because I don't want to say, I don't think she deserves for me to say negative things about her.
Yeah.
It's more just like how I was feeling. That's what I'm trying to share.
Yeah. And I actually recorded an episode with one of my girlfriends back in this fall, and I sent it to him before I planned on releasing it, and he was very upset and angry. And it was me being able to, I thought, was express myself very clearly in terms of like how it affected me and how I am being able to move on and go through different things. But ever since then, it put this sense of like fear that I'm always kind of being watched, or like I have to be incredibly careful. And it makes me feel like I need to put a muzzle on my own voice out of fear of what the repercussions would be, as you're talking about the legal stuff and going through those motions right now. So shout out to my ex. You do you. Good job, buddy.
And let Ashley do her.
Yeah, I'm going to do me. Thanks. And you know that I'm a podcaster and that I speak my mind. Okay, thanks. I feel better.
Yeah, I have some things to say too.
Yeah, great. Well, I mean, hey, cheers. I don't think the beer cans will have quite the same. Pretty good. Same to you, Carl, and your non-divorces.
Carl is dating a phenomenal lady. I really like her. Carl recently turned 30.
Happy
and
birthday.
Sam planned a pretty wicked
that's awesome. Yeah.
30th birthday party for him.
Oh, Sam. What a catch.
She's a sweetheart.
She's the best for sure.
Yeah. Give her a shout out. Shout out to Sam.
There it is. Yeah. She
You know
listens
what
to all
the
the
cutest thing
podcasts.
ever was?
What?
This may embarrass Carl, but it's my podcast, so I'm going to say it anyway.
And he's cut.
And no more editing from Carl. There was this like little game that Sam set up with, I don't know, 10 or 15 questions about Carl. So had to like, I don't know what the winner got, like a bottle of booze or something. I don't know. There's a prize. One of the questions was best thing about Carl. And Sam's dad's response was, he makes Sam happy. Oh. Isn't that the cutest thing ever?
Oh, I just melted a little.
I know.
Damn. That's what I need a Sam and a Carl.
See?
Yeah. Shout out to any people who will be the Carl to my Sam. Okay, this episode of Joe Rogan, Killer Mike was on, and I saw Killer Mike perform at Sasquatch years ago. When he got up stage, he started crying because of how grateful he was to be in front of this audience, and he wasn't even on the main stage. And I was like, Killer Mike's a good dude. And then hearing him on Joe Rogan, he's like, shout out, so real. Shout out. Yeah. I want to be Killer Mike. Yeah. Who do you want to be?
I'm gonna listen to Killer Mike next. Who do I want to be? Whew, that is a really broad question. I want to be me. I really like who I am. I like where I'm going. I like the people that I'm surrounded by right now. And I don't know. I don't think I want to be another human.
Who inspires you?
Podcast wise, probably Gary Vee was a big influence for me early on. Early on meaning like when I got into podcasts, which was like a year ago.
Didn't you start in October?
I started in October, November, yeah.
End of October, early November, yeah. You're quick.
Okay, cool.
It was a crazy year.
Yeah.
If I was to write a book on my 29 years of life, that last 12 months would probably take up 85% of the book.
This one for me. Ah! Like feet up going, like, you know, when you're about to go down the roller coaster, so you're like, do I lean forward or back? I don't know. Yeah, ditto. Except for it wasn't 29, it was 31.
The reason I say Gary Vee, and we don't need to talk about him lots because I talk about him a lot. I think he kind of pushed me to have the courage to just like be myself, because a lot of what he talks about I think in my head, but I'm embarrassed to say because I've said it before and I don't like the reactions that I get from people.
Like what?
Meaning like everything's my fault. Philosophy that I've thought in my head for years. I've heard Gary Vee say it. Now I'm very comfortable saying it out loud. People will be like, well, it's not your fault. This thing happened. And I was like, I put myself in that situation. It's my fault. And to me, it makes sense. To me, it's really optimistic, whereas people look at it as a big negative. And I was like, it works for me. I'm going to keep doing me.
I feel like there's a difference too in saying like, it's my fault versus like blaming yourself. It is a blaming sentence, but when you're like, this is just kind of what happened, great, we can acknowledge it and keep on moving. And I can learn and grow from it versus being like, oh my God, everything's my fault. I did everything wrong. What's wrong with me? You're just like, yeah, it is what it is. And also like, it's my fault. Take it or leave it. Because who are you apologizing to?
Not apologizing. So the other thing that people think is very negative, which I think is very positive, is that most of my life has been a failure. Sounds negative, right? Mm-hmm. But to me, it's super positive because I learn so much more from failures than successes. When I win, so my upbringing was like athletics, played basketball in university, lost a lot, right? Most of sports is losing. One team wins a championship per year out of 30 or 40 or whatever. Played provincial team, lost in the national final twice. I remember those games and those moments so thoroughly that they like still burn inside of me and they push me to not have that feeling again. Whereas the few amount of wins that I've had just kind of make you soft.
Well, it's easy to coast.
Totally.
Like what's going to push you harder? What's going to make you achieve greatness?
Totally.
Yeah.
So I like the losses and I learn a lot more from them. And so I can look back and be like, sure, I got a first team All-Star in the U17 Nationals. We lost in the final by 2. I had the worst game of my career in the final. That is a moment that sticks with you for a long time. But I learned so much. And I think the cool thing to learn is like how to be embarrassed. So, and I've had a few situations, obviously 2 were that game and marriage not working out. It's embarrassing. Friends and family are like, ooh, what did he do wrong kind of thing.
Yep.
But I think it's really valuable to learn how to be embarrassed, to learn how to lose.
Well, it's that humility that creates that humbleness and takes you off of your high horse and checks your ego. And that's the same thing that I find when I'm teaching. It's like once that ego starts to get in the way, it takes away relatability. It takes away from like that true, deep, meaningful connection. Versus like when I use my failures as a teaching in class, people are like, yeah, it's relatable. It's real. Nobody wants a yoga instructor who's never made a mistake, who's never fucked up. It's not
People
real.
can't relate. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Also, I like sharing the losses and the mistakes better because people, yes, can relate to them, but can learn from them. Whereas like, if you're like, yes, I sold this many houses this year. This is what I did. Blah, 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 blah. All my clients love me. People are just like, okay, well, that doesn't seem realistic. Whereas if you're like, hey, I lost a listing appointment yesterday. I said something wrong or whatever. They like someone better. It sucks. I don't get to sell that house. But being able to learn from them, but also share those experiences to me in the last year has been really valuable for me personally, being able to share.
Yeah. I mean, like maybe that's not what you would tell a prospective client, but
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I am who I am and my online resume, social media describes that.
Yeah.
And if people like it, great. They're going to work with us. If people don't like it, then they're probably not going to work with us.
That's just it. The amount of times I've gotten negative feedback from my teachings, that's fine. Eat a dick. It's my favorite saying also. When I'm really pissed off, I'm like, fucking eat a dick. I'm allowed to swear, right?
No, what the hell?
Oh, Jesus.
I told you it was a conservative family, right?
Right.
Yeah, you can fucking swear, of course.
Peace be with you. I wouldn't be like, the power of Christ compels you. No, that's The Exorcist. Wrong one.
Okay, can we talk yoga?
Yeah. What do you want to know?
First of all, I'd like you to define what yoga is.
Oh my God.
Okay, this is coming from someone who has never been to a yoga class. Carl, have you been to yoga classes? So you have 2 dudes in here that have never been to a yoga class. Obviously, I understand what it is, but like, what is it to you?
So yoga is a 2,000 plus, 5,000 plus year old practice.
I Googled it today and it said 3,000 plus.
Or 3,000, whatever.
Started in India.
Yes. For me, so there's different aspects to yoga. The common Western style that people have really clung to is the physical practice, the asana. But there's so much more to yoga than that. There is these thousands of year old teachings talking about, it's essentially like the different ways of life. How can we move throughout this world and be in connection with different people and beings? It's just like how, someone who is Catholic or Muslim or whatever, all the different religions have this interwoven piece about doing good in the world. Mm-hmm. And I'll butcher it if I try and like describe it more than that as someone who's Roman Catholic. Oops. There's the mindfulness, there's meditation, there's this transcendence and finding a higher consciousness. But for me, what I'm finding, time out. A lot of yoga is this, connecting with higher spirits and what's going on. For people who can't see, I'm making like hand gestures of like going down to up and finding this almost out of body experience. And for me, yoga is actually grounding down and tuning in with what's going on in my body. What's actually real that will keep me down on this earth so I feel some sort of connectedness. I'm very flighty. I'm up here, quick to react to different things. So I will make the best decisions that are right for my life when I am tethered to the ground and feel a deeper connection to something that's more than outside of me. Yoga, yes, is a physical practice, but it's about bringing in awareness to what's going on in your body. In the world we live in, we're so connected to what's going on in our minds, and we're connected to our phones and social media that it's easy to get lost in that headspace and desensitized from the neck down. Because when was the last time you actually trusted and listened to your gut? I know that if I really listened to my gut when I was a teenager, I probably wouldn't have gone into different relationships that didn't serve me. I probably would have done a shit ton less drugs. And I would have been able to like listen to my body and my breath. So for me, yoga is on the mat and off the mat. It's a major fitness trend right now. A lot of what you're seeing as yoga, like the oxygens and wherever else that's combined fitness, isn't like quote unquote true yoga. And then again, who am I as a straight white woman, blonde, skinny, with money, living in Vancouver? What am I doing teaching yoga? Like I'm the last person who should be telling people to feel the seat of your soul and feel your heart flutter and come alive for you to have a fucking out of body experience. No, bitch, I just want you to feel good. So for me, yoga is like, yeah, tapping in with what does feel good, learning your boundaries, what's a yes and a no in your body, and having a deeper connection with your community.
I think, I don't know if you actually say those things in your classes.
Oh, I say bitch all the time.
No, rooting something to a spiritual something.
Oh my God,
something.
Never. None of that frou-frou language. No. So,
because I think that's what is not necessarily, I don't know if the right
daunting?
word is intimidating. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's, one, there's a lot of words that are strange, like tree pose and downward dog, and it's just like a lot of lingo.
Well, what's gonna make you feel good in class? Do you think it's gonna make you feel good if I'm now like Ekapada Raja Kapotasana? No. It's gonna make you question yourself. What about, hey, feel what you feel, notice what you notice. If you want to move your body, cool. If you don't want to move your body and you want to lie here on the ground for an hour, that's yoga. You don't need to touch your toes, as much as people like to tell you. You don't need to be wearing Lululemon head to toe. If you're able to breathe, that's yoga. And as a dude walking into a yoga studio, guess who majority of the audience is going to be? It's women. And then that you go into that space of like, oh, well, should I be here? Do I deserve to be here? How much did I pay for this? Am I dressed appropriately? Well, what if I look around the room and someone thinks I'm creeping on them, but I'm not? I just don't know what that pose is. Like there's so much that goes into aspect of creating a safe space for each individual person who walks in. Imagine being a person of color walking into a yoga studio where it's all white people. You know, living in Langley, that city is white as fuck.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So imagine now me as a white instructor being like, great, welcome, feel the seat of your soul. It's like, whoa, what the fuck does that mean now? Anyways, yeah, it's like, how am I creating a space that's approachable for you and for every other person?
How do you make it more inclusive then?
So I teach mostly philosophy, and philosophy, it used to be called philosophy yoga. We've dropped yoga because what type of barriers are we creating by including the word yoga? Because you will automatically, like, Carl, you'll walk in there and be like, oh, it's yoga. 100%, yeah. And you'll go in there with a mindset already of being like, fuck.
Preconceived notion, yeah.
Yeah. So what if it was mindful movement? I like to start class with a check-in question. So just like when you asked Carl, what's his favorite ice cream flavor? And he answered the weirdest answer ever of bubblegum.
That's the best flavor.
It's so weird, Carl. It's so weird.
Do you like the one with the actual pieces of gum in it?
Yes.
Oh, like Baskin Robbins style. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. You do you.
I mean, I'll take cotton candy too.
Oh my God, it just keeps on getting weirder. And Tiger Eye, what's next? Yeah, so like starting a question, something I've been playing around with is like where do you play small in your life? Or where do you feel like you're not enough? Or what's the rose and thorn of your day? Where in your life are you riding in the HOV lane? Can you move over to the slow lane? And so people can get out of that headspace of being like, what am I doing here? To actually being present and listening to the other people in the room. So you create that connection. I like to start classes lying down. So you can choose to have your eyes open or closed. And it really doesn't matter what other people are doing. And providing choice. So not inhale, halfway lift and lengthen, exhale, fold. Being like, if you choose to, maybe explore what it feels like to place your hands on your shins and extend your spine. Maybe not. If you want to, try doing this. So it's all in how you change your language so you can make it more invitational. So if you want to move, cool. If you don't, I don't give a shit. You already paid.
That's perfect too, because like if you can't do a certain pose, right, you're not the odd one out.
Yeah. And like I've really been mindful of going into studio spaces that don't have mirrors, because that's what people would become fixated on. Yeah. And it doesn't matter what you like, really. Yoga wasn't practiced with mirrors. So why now are we fixated on looking at ourselves? We're always staring at a glass mirror. We don't need to be looking at ourselves anymore. And again, it feeds into what's going on in your mind versus what do you feel in your body. Other ways to make spaces more accessible and inclusive, wheelchair accessible, gender neutral bathrooms, being mindful of what music I'm playing, making sure that every person, I do the best of my ability so that they feel seen. So there's eye contact there as well. I'm a huge proponent for touch. So people who come to my classes, they know they're going to get touched in a non-creepy way. I promise. Don't worry. So people will know that when I come around and touch them, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing broken. There's nothing that needs to be fixed. It's just to give you the space to be able to feel in your body. You know when someone puts their hand on your shoulder and they like hold it maybe a little bit longer and you can just you feel yourself relax underneath. Like a little bit more of that. Like what does it feel like to actually have someone ground you by placing their hands gently on your back and ask you to breathe into that space? So instead of your breath being up here, you can actually start to deepen it more.
So you mentioned earlier that you hated yoga when you started.
Oh my God, it was stupid.
So what takes you from hating yoga to getting into it? Well, I'm assuming working at Lululemon has something to do with it. But now do you say instructing, teaching? What do you say?
Oh my God, I don't even know what the right thing to say is. Because like, am I a teacher? What am I teaching? I'm not teaching Yoga Sutras, that's for sure. It's like old shit. Okay. Yeah, I say instructor and I say philosophy instructor because that's mostly what I teach.
Is there some sort of training?
Yes. Okay. So funny enough, my girlfriend who started it, her name's also Ashley B. But she luckily now lives in Toronto. So people are like, oh, Toronto Ash or West Coast Ash. But she started philosophy. So then when she left to Toronto, I was like, this is mine. And then I started teaching more in Vancouver. Wait, what was the question?
What was the question, Carl?
I don't know. Okay, anyways.
Oh, I think it was, how do you go from hating it to now, like, it's part of your life, you're instructing, you're helping people with it?
So 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I was living in Montreal. I had met my then boyfriend when we lived in Greece and bartended on a beach.
Cool.
So yeah, it was dope. Shout out to Charles in Montreal. Salut mon amour. J'espère que tout va bien avec toi. He was from Montreal, so I moved to Montreal with him, and I was bartending, and I was having a hard time making friends. I know, hard to believe. So then I was like looking through the University of Montreal programs for what I could do. And I was like, oh, yoga, that seems like a great way to make friends. Go to my first class. So excited. Mama's never been to yoga. So I thought we could like talk and stuff throughout it. No, there's no talking. So that failed. And I felt like a lot of the instructors were men telling me how to move my body, when to move my body. And back then it was a lot of like chest openers and heart openers. And something that one of my teachers said is like, who are you doing a heart opener and back bend for? Because it's a very male dominant position to be like opening your chest, bringing your arms back. When what I find, what actually gives me comfort in my body is coming forward and being able to tune in and go inwards. This is external. This is like a lot of energy I'm giving. This is me receiving energy. So I thought it was bullshit and stupid. I also didn't really understand half the things the guy was saying because he was from Newfoundland. Then I moved back home, and then I got back into weightlifting and judo and boxing and kickboxing. Yeah, so I used to do judo with the Vancouver Police Department. It was dope. That was when I wanted to be a police officer, but like I said, I've done a few too many drugs in my life, so that never transpired into anything. And then, with Lululemon, I was like, okay, starting to do more yoga. I'm like, yeah, this is cool. I like it. I like restorative, where we lie down and do nothing. Because it's a mind game. It's a total mind fuck when you're just lying there and you're like, what do I focus on? I guess thinking about work's not really going to do anything right now. And then they did their first ever internal teacher training. And it was my original ambassador who was leading the training. And I loved her style of teaching. She was real. She was a mom. She is a mom. And so I completed my teacher training while I was pregnant and finished it when I was 6 months pregnant. Then my mentor, Ashley Belluz, I was like, hey, can I help you? Let me help you. Let me do hands-on. I've always been told that I have hands like I've worked on a farm my whole life. Thank you to my ex-husband who said that. Now I wear it as a badge of honor. But I've got real strong hands. So I know what can make people feel good. And so I just kept on doing more and more hands-on assisting for her. And eventually I was vocal, being like, I want to teach this. This is where I want to be. And so she mentored me and took me under her wing. And then it got to a point where I was like, oh, whoa, wait a minute. I'm actually okay at this. People are okay with my fart jokes. People don't give a shit if I swear. People want to listen to the Fugees.
So you just made it your own.
Yeah. And this was a style that Ash was already teaching. Probably not as many fart jokes, but people kept on coming back. So I was like, great, something's working. And yeah, it's been 2 years of that now. And it fills me up just as much as, I would say pays the bills. I mean, it doesn't really pay the bills, but it fills me up. Yeah. So I went from hating it because who's this fucking dude to tell me how to move my body to now, let me tell you a fart joke and massage you and try and make you feel good. And let's rewrite the narrative around safe touch.
So is it more, I hope I'm interpreting this right, is it more spiritual / meditation than actual physical? Or just a big combination of all three?
I think it's a combination. For me, I have a really hard time. You know, when you haven't been to a yoga class, but when I go to yoga class and the teacher just spits off these beautiful, almost poetic verses that make you question your life or be like, oh my God, this is my purpose in life. I don't feel like I'm eloquent enough to be able to spit out some Ram Dass or some beautiful quotes in the middle of class. Mm-hmm. So that spiritual piece, I don't know if I'm quite there with it, but if I can make people feel good and maybe they stretch and move their bodies or move their bodies how they want to, then that's philosophy.
Okay.
And having that sense of community. Do you do fitness? Like classes, not like do you do fitness?
I
Period.
do not like classes.
Okay. Carl?
Never done a class in my life.
Okay.
I run and work out almost every day. Well, goal of 2019 is to do something active, meaning like hike, run, or workout, or all three every day for a year.
Awesome.
Mostly just to say I can do it.
Okay.
Like there's always going to be like a hangover day where you just need to sit on the sofa, and I get it, but I'm forcing myself to do something active on those days.
Is that pleasure or punishment?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
I feel way better after I work out than if I don't work out.
What if you get the stomach flu?
I got to go for a run.
That's disgusting.
Or go on, like sit on the bike for 20 minutes or something.
Punishment.
I'm doing it.
Okay.
What is
All
it?
right.
March 26th, so I'm 87 days in? Whatever the math is.
Well, I'm proud of you. That takes a lot of stamina.
You're going to say like stupidity? Or you're
Yeah, that's how my head was going.
Stamina.
Stamina. Good for you. Okay, so you know when you go to the gym, someone's like there at the front desk and they kind of go like, and maybe they'll like make eye contact with you when you scan in your thing. I'm assuming like Steve Nash, Golds.
I have a gym in my building and I don't like working out with other people because they annoy me.
Okay, so this is perfect.
And to me, fitness every day, apart from like, obviously I feel better afterwards and I'm not fat like I used to be 2 years ago. It's like, it's therapy for me. It's the 30 minutes, an hour every day that I get to just like basically turn it off.
Well, and it's your downtime.
Yeah.
Okay, so picture this. A lot of yoga, you go somewhere and it's, someone scans you in. Great. You go and you sit on your mat. You wait there awkwardly for 5 to 8 minutes. The teacher comes in. Hello, how are you doing? Today we're going to do back bends or whatever. But there's no sense of community. Like you're on your mat, you do your thing, you roll up your mat, you go. And for me, Feelosophy is so much more than that. Like I want to get to know the people. I want to be able to celebrate them or just be together and have that shared space. Because when you get people together around a campfire, it creates something special, whether you're having a conversation or not. There's just that special energy that's being there. Because I love lifting weights. I love going to the gym and hitting that heavy bag. But I also love when I can actually see someone and be like, okay, like I'm starting to understand you, Denny. Like I want to root for you. I want to see you grow and do well. And maybe I'll see you again next week. And I'll be like, how's that 86 days of stupidity going? But we can like joke and have a laugh. And there's that connection.
December 31st, I'm going to send you a message and say, screw you, I did it.
Yes, yes. Good. But yeah, so that's like a big piece of what Feelosophy is and why I teach. And the fart jokes.
Should Carl do a yoga class?
I think you should both come to class. Come to Philosophy of the Garden. Let me love you in a non-creepy way. Trust me, it's not pervy at all. Just to be able to experience it. Let me know what you think.
I have been known to, I really like hiking now.
Great.
As of like a year. A lot's changed in a year. I don't know why I think it's funny to go and do yoga poses at the top of a mountain. Mostly because I see other people doing it and I'm like, this is so stupid.
Disrespectful.
I'm going to do it.
I used to be that person.
But I'm like, why are people doing this? Okay, I think it's funny. I'm going to make fun of them. I'm going to do it too.
It's for their Tinder.
Exactly.
Obviously. It's either that, a picture of everyone on top of the chief doing like dancer's pose or tree pose, or it's a picture of some dude in a sleeveless shirt petting a tiger. Or the new one that I've been seeing a lot of lately is actually...
we need to find a tiger.
I know. It's actually the pictures of them sturgeon fishing. That's like the new tiger picture. Yeah.
Weird.
I know.
I vote for the tiger. Let's find a tiger.
I think a sturgeon would be safer.
I don't know what I was asking you.
Yoga.
We can move on.
Okay.
Quick podcast. I want to just touch on your podcast. What got you into podcasting? Did you listen to podcasts like a long time before you started, or you just kind of got into it?
So, my ex-husband used to listen a lot to Joe Rogan and T-Fat K, Fighter and the Kid.
I love it.
So good. I met Brendan Schaub.
Really?
When we were on our honeymoon, we went down to Boxenburn in California, and I was like, we're going. We woke up at 6. I'm like, I need to get a boxing workout in. And sure enough, he was there, and he was so awesome and kind, and
Really?
he chased us down in the parking lot to give us t-shirts
No way.
from
That's awesome.
That's
the
so cool to
T-Fat
hear.
K, and like like I've always been a big fan of like the dynamics that Brendan Schaub and Brian Callen have, and then just with them and Joe, it feels like you're just like listening to a conversation.
Part of the group, yeah, just a group of friends. Yeah.
And like even for me as a woman who lives in Canada, I still really enjoyed it, right? Like it's very much like a bro podcast, but for someone who loves UFC and fighting, I felt like, okay, like I know what they're talking about. This is great. And then whenever they would be like, we have a show coming up in Vancouver, or we love Vancouver, it made me feel like special. And I emceed the Lululemon Half Marathon for 4 years. Yeah. So for me, I've always loved having a microphone in my hand, and it just came naturally. I wish I was funnier on my podcast, like the way I am in real life. But I think maybe because there's this fear of being recorded, that I'm not like as funny as I am in person.
Maybe you're afraid to say something.
How do we get over that though? Why are we afraid?
I think it's sounding stupid, and I say some like really perverted, inappropriate stuff in person.
But who gives a shit?
That's the funny stuff though.
I know, but then like I'm also afraid, like was my ex-husband going to come down on me? Right? I mean, he's also like a lot of great material. No, I'm kidding. I take that back. Yeah, I don't know. You know? Do you experience that as well?
No.
Okay.
The only thing I wouldn't say I'm filtered on, I just carefully choose my words, is the separation.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't think I have a filter.
Do you think I've been filtering, or have I been pretty unfiltered about the ex?
About the ex specifically,
pretty good, yeah.
I think pretty good.
Okay.
You're just sharing your side, right? Your stories. Yeah. You haven't really put them under any. Yeah.
Okay, great. Phew.
And like from my point of view, I don't have any need to do that.
No.
I just, like I said, I don't want to say bad things about her because I don't really believe them. It's more just I want to share like what I went through.
Totally.
The things that I felt.
And like for me before, it was very much like I want to show the world like what wrong he's done me, and now it doesn't matter anymore.
No, exactly.
Because also the only person who looks bad is me. Right? It's the same thing when people post nasty shit online. No one goes, oh, that person messed up. They look at the person who's posting being like, you crazy. But yeah, so I love Joe Rogan. I love Fighter and the Kid. And I'm like, I want to do a podcast. And my ex was like, yeah, you should. Like, totally. Who's podcasting? Like, who was doing it at the time? There wasn't that much in Vancouver. Now you throw a nickel and there's a podcast everywhere. I don't know why a nickel and why you would throw it, but any toodles. So yeah, and I was like, I'm going to start off and it's going to be about fitness and the fitness influencers and what makes them tick and why are they so good? Because fitness is so big in Vancouver. And then I had first couple episodes. I'm like, this is not about fitness whatsoever. This is about people being able to share their stories and give them a platform. And it just naturally evolved from there. It can be cheap. Like to start off, all you need is a microphone. You don't like, do you even need a receiver? No. Do we love receivers and like technology? Carl and I are nerds. Yes. And I think there was something so beautiful about using YouTube to try and figure it out on my own and have like that passion project just for myself. Am I making money off of it? Obviously not. You know, you and I've talked about our numbers and they're not like where we want them to be, but are we having fun?
It's been way more than fun for me. It's been educational. It's like been the best networking tool I've ever had.
Yeah.
And I get to meet and chat with really cool people. And one thing Brad said about podcasting, actually, which I had never really thought about, but made so much sense and now I think about all the time, is there's something about having a mic in front of you that like allows you to connect on a way different level than meeting at a bar or something.
Totally. Well, first of all, if you met me at a bar, I'd be like, Denny, I'm not serious. I'm busy. Yeah. No, just kidding. It's fine. Yeah.
It's been my experience though.
Oh, especially with the voice, right?
Yeah.
And please tell me you'd talk back to me like that. Now it's your turn to try the voice.
Let's move on.
Okay. Damn it. Yeah. And like for me, the amount of people who've either come to class or like I've gotten a speaking engagement from this, and just putting yourself out there in a different way. Like you saying that you were an introvert before. I'm like, excuse me? You know? Yeah. I mean, cool people. Like, look at Carl. Look at this great friendship you two have had for the past 14 years.
Well, another big pro is that it brought us back together because we were best friends in high school, played provincial team together, went to the same high school, grade 10, 11, 12.
We just
After
drifted
high
apart.
school, I went away to university. Carl played university basketball, and then we just, like, we would see each other a couple times a year maybe.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing each other 3 times a week.
What's your favorite thing about each other?
Ooh, great question.
I know your answer.
It's 100% his beard.
Yep.
It's so deadly.
Beyond the physical.
Sexy. Beyond the physical, he makes me happy. No, that was a joke at the birthday party thing. I would say honestly, his passion for podcasting is so cool. He's so pumped about just producing content, meeting good people, and sharing stories. And he has helped motivate me.
He's your account buddy.
100%.
And Carl?
I think the brutal honesty. I feel like no, but it's good because I don't know. I see through fake people, I guess, and there's so many out there.
Oh my God, hold on. I see through fake people.
No, but it's good. I feel like it's super good to surround yourself with people that are just brutally honest, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're screwing up, if you're not doing what you're supposed to, he'll tell you, right? He'll let you know.
Yeah.
And it's so important because then you just get better that way.
And you can count you can count on Denny to be that person.
And I know it's never going to be personal, and that's number one too.
Cool.
That was a really good bro moment we just had.
That was really nice. I'm very honored that I could be here and share your energy for each other.
Thank you for bringing that out of us,
I
actually.
think we should all take a collective breath together. So empty your lungs.
Can you be the 0 to Here therapist? Can
Yes.
you just come on once a week and just connect me and Carl better?
Please. I want you to look into each other's eyes for 12 minutes of unbroken eye gazing. Let's all take a big breath in.
Can we do yoga while we do this?
No. And
Okay.
out.
Straight up, no.
Straight up, no. What other podcasts, like obviously Kenny G or whoever you said, Gary V.
You don't like him?
No, I have no idea who he is.
Oh, he's like the best entrepreneur. He will be the best entrepreneur of all time.
Let me make a little note here. Gary G in the house.
No, Gary V.
V as in Victor.
V-E-E.
V-E-E.
His last name is Vaynerchuk, but he goes by Gary V because no one can say his last name.
Is he in Vancouver?
No, he lives in New York.
Yo, what Vancouver podcasts are there? Like, I'm having a hard time here.
That's why I want to come to your event, because I want to meet more people that do Vancouver podcasts. The only ones that I really know, other than Brad, obviously, because we've connected, are real estate related ones. The
Vancouver Reel is like one of the biggest ones if you look it up on iTunes.
Mm-hmm.
I knew right away for this event that I wanted Brad to speak because of his involvement in the podcast community. I'm like, well, what Vancouver podcasts are there? And I'm like, Brad seems normal. He's got a great voice. I haven't listened to his podcast, but his presence is there, and he's not a douchebag.
No.
And he seems like he's been doing this for a while now, that he could bring a different insight to my own. And then I'm like, okay, well then who else is there? So then I started looking around and I realized it's a lot of white women. And there's a lot of us out there podcasting,
really?
And we're all doing the lean forward laugh, playing with our fucking hair. Just go look. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing, but I'm like, how many more white women in podcasting in Vancouver do we need to hear from versus I actually want to hear from someone different, someone who looks different from me, has a different experience, different background, so that they can round out the Vancouver podcast scene. But in doing so, I'm like, where are people of color? Where are people who are in different industries than me? Because it seems like everybody's a life coach or an entrepreneur or very similar guests. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to necessarily hear from someone like me. I want different stories. Mm-hmm. And I want it to be an accurate representation of the Vancouver scene, Vancouver community and culture. So I'm having a hard time with that. And I want to be fully transparent and be like, hey, let's connect. Let's build our community. Because I remember being like, oh, well, this bitch has had the same podcast guest as me on. I'm like, well, fuck that shit then. I'm going to make this podcast even better. And I checked myself because someone, Kelly Track, like started following me, and I was like, yes, bitch, fucking follow me. What up now? And I'm like, why are you a psychopath, Ashley? One. And two, like, great, follow her back. Why can't, there's enough room for everyone. I release one episode every 2 weeks. It's an hour to an hour and a half. People are in their car for a lot longer than an hour and a half every 2 weeks. There's room for all the podcasters out there.
I listen to like 3 or 4 hours a day now.
Yeah, easy. So like, why was I getting all uptight about it? And now I'm like, no, we should actually be celebrating and bringing everyone together, because great, we're going to get different stories out of each person who shares. Mm-hmm. And everybody wants to start a podcast, so why be stingy? Like, let's share what we know and let's share our mistakes so people don't go through the same shit.
One thing Brad mentioned to me, actually, I really, really enjoyed Brad's conversation. He's a really good guy, so I'm excited that he's speaking. He asked, like, what's the goal with your podcast? And my right away answer was get to 1,000 views an episode. And he's like, why is that a number that you care about? Because his point of view was, if you're doing stuff that you think is valuable / it's helping you, what do the numbers really mean? Mm-hmm. And it's not so much that I care that much about the number, but it's a number to me that will, I think there's a lot of awesome people that I'm having on that have a lot of value in their story. So I just want more people to hear it.
Yeah.
Also, it will help people. I think it will help me get people to say yes when I'm DMing them on Instagram. So like right now, my conversion rate of people saying yes is not that great.
Really?
I don't know. No, I don't know. I don't know what great is. I've spent a lot of time doing it.
I feel like you're taking a lot of shots though. Like you're reaching out to a lot of people.
That's correct. Because I want to try to do 2 or 3 a week, which is a lot.
Which is a lot.
But I'd say my conversion rate is like, I don't know, maybe like 1 in 40, 1 in 30.
Wait, so you ask 40 people and one person will say yes?
Yeah.
You do realize that has absolutely nothing to do with you. And that's mostly them being like, oh my God, why does he want me on his podcast? I'm not worthy.
Also, what is the right, because there's a lot of really cool business women in Greater Vancouver. I always feel, not,
say it.
There's
a
slight twitch in my head of being like, I feel like I'm creeping them by sending them a DM. And so a lot of people just don't reply, which is whatever. Maybe
do they see the message? Does it say seen?
Yeah. Well, yeah, a lot.
See, now here's the thing. I creeped you. I saw you had a girlfriend. I was like, great, perfect. Not creepy. You got pictures with your girlfriend on your profile.
So you have to have a girlfriend in order to not be creepy?
No, that sounds wrong, because then I'm a creep because the amount of times that I message people and guys.
So anyway, that's one of the things it hasn't really stopped me. It stopped me with some people. You know, like basically it evolved from me wanting to talk to people that run businesses, chat about their experience, how they got from zero to here was the name of the podcast. Now it's really just like, I want to talk to anyone who has a cool story. So I want to talk to social media influencers. I want to talk to business people, athletes, podcasters, like restaurant people, anyone that has a cool story or that has a personality, really. Like, everyone has a story.
So I'm hoping I haven't failed you so far.
No, it's been a lot of fun.
Okay, great.
Not as good as Brad. No, I'm kidding.
I'm kidding. You son of a bitch.
I just love Brad. Brad was really cool.
Oh man, because I was listening to his episode on the way over, I was like, oh fuck, standards high now. Standards high. Yeah, and that was the way that I filter people as well. I've had a few people reach out who want to be on the podcast, and I'm like, is this someone whose story I want to hear? Like, do I want to, like, I want to bring, not necessarily like cool people, but I want to be able to elevate people's voices so that they can use this platform as a conduit to get their message across. Now, I'm not going to pull out some of that weird shit.
At the same time, though, you have to think about it the other way and respect the courage of them reaching out to you.
True.
Because a few people have done that to me, and my answer is like, yeah, absolutely. And maybe in 3 years from now, when we're doing 10,000 views an episode and we're getting 100 emails a week, people want to be on the podcast, maybe it changes, but like most of the time it's yes. Why not? Different approach.
I don't know. Different approach. Maybe now I feel like an asshole.
Maybe it's just sweet people that have been emailing me.
Maybe. I don't know.
But like, the good thing about doing a podcast is there's no rules. You get to decide.
It's true. I think that's a nice thing. I never thought I wanted to be like my own quote unquote business owner. And people are like, oh my God, being an entrepreneur is so sexy. No, it's not. It doesn't pay the bills.
So that was the goal of the podcast, was to, this line that I always say is like, social media glorifies entrepreneurship. Yeah. It's not really that glorious.
No, it's not at all.
Yeah.
And people are like, I love my life. I don't have a Monday. I'm like, no, I have a Monday, and some days I don't like it. Some days I don't like Mondays. Teaching. Yeah, you work every single day.
Yeah.
And like, this is a decision I've made. Could I go back to a 9-to-5? Maybe. Does this give me the space to spend time with Eden? Yes. Mm-hmm. Is it worthwhile then? 100,000 million %. I can get time with her and be there for like her most formative years. Brilliant. But is it glamorous all the time? Am I going out having rosé midday? I mean, some days, yes, but not every day. I'm in stretchy pants and I often smell like sweat from teaching so much. It's not all fucking Instagram worthy.
But I think, so one of the things, if I could go back, I got into Instagram other than just thinking I had to do it for business like a year ago. And if I could go back, I would have started telling the story early, because the first year in real estate, for a lot of people, it's 3 years. I was pretty lucky that it was really just 1 year of like an absolute grind, not glamorous at all, trying to figure out how I could afford to buy Mr. Noodles so I could eat that day. Mm-hmm. And if I could go back, I wish I was able to broadcast that a little bit more. Not so much to be like, look what I'm doing to try to succeed, more just to be like, this is real life.
This is reality. Yeah. And that's probably what like would draw people towards you as well.
Right? I just think like it's valuable like that, for people to understand that like you don't have to be this highly successful person to love what you're doing. Anyone that is at that level went through this period of shit.
Yeah.
Whether it's 1 year, 3 years, a lot of people, it's a decade building businesses. It's not always pretty.
And I think like what I'm seeing right now is that there is such a push towards like be an entrepreneur, no more 9-to-5, do your own thing. And I'm seeing a lot of like all white offices and a lot of all white feeds on your Instagram. And one of my girlfriends, Maggie, shout out Maggie from Grace Club. She's like, nobody wants a perfectly curated feed. That's not real. That's overthought and it's cold. People want to see the real you and people want to know you. That's what will buy them into your brand and your business. Mm-hmm. And another piece of great advice that came from my mom was, yeah, you're not like the first year of business, you're probably not going to make any money. It's going to take at least 3 years. And I've had friends be like, well, no, I'd like to be successful and be able to be at this number by this time. It's beautiful to have goals and also like enjoy the process, be in the thick, be in the dirt. And so you can be present in this moment and know what it feels like. So it's not always like, and then. Carl, I feel like you have a lot to say about like business.
Nope. I like listening to you guys.
I enjoy you being mic'd up today, sir.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What's your favorite part?
It just adds a dynamic, right?
It does. I appreciate you for how active you are at listening.
Ooh.
When you look at me, I feel like you're really listening to the words that I'm saying, and that what I'm saying makes sense. Even though I have no clue if it makes sense or not, but you're just like...
No, it makes sense. Yeah. No, I'm here. Yeah,
You're like a silent cheerleader. You're like my hype man, just cheering me on like a dad in a stadium.
We should change the introduction to be like producer Carl to hype man Carl.
Hype man Carl.
A silent hype man. Yeah.
Yeah. Just with a nice little head nod here and there. That's all you need sometimes.
Do you think I nod my head too much?
No.
No?
No. It's the perfect amount.
Wonderful.
Yes. You do not nod your head enough, dear sir Danny. No, you're a stone cold fucking...
I'm intently listening.
No, this is you.
I'm listening.
And in an awkward silence.
Who are you to judge the way I listen?
I am nobody.
So fuck you then.
I don't care. I
feel like I'm quite engaging.
You are.
I listen
Sometimes
to what
though,
you're
I
saying,
don't.
and I want to explore a few ideas, and I go that way.
When you think, your face is stone cold killer.
Nod more.
No, because your eyes are dead.
Yeah, you have intense eyes.
Yeah. So your eyes look dead and you're thinking, but you don't have a think face.
I think a lot.
So your face is like this, but I know that rabbit is on the wheel.
I don't know what I'm like conscious of what I'm looking like right
Well,
now.
maybe I should hold up a mirror here. And so it's this, and then out of nowhere comes a question. And I was like, was that related to this or not? I don't know. Is he going to acknowledge that? I don't know. Where's he going to go?
Keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
All right, I need to work on my think face.
It's okay. I do
just
this.
look in the mirror all night.
I do this a lot. I go, Yeah.
Do you put your podcast on YouTube?
I just started. So YouTube is the second most used search engine behind Google.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I think Joe Rogan said that recently.
Yeah.
That's exactly where I heard it from.
Okay. He said
I started.
he said he makes 50% of his money off YouTube.
Is that insane?
Which is crazy.
My top video so far is at 10 views. So if you're interested, shout out to myself, YouTube, look up Kilter&Mint. Woo!
It'll be in the notes.
Great.
What are the chances we get to Joe Rogan's podcast views level?
You know what? I think if we keep on using that SEO and target Vancouverites, there's something there.
I like that.
There's something there. Also, have you been able to figure out if, obviously you're on iTunes.
Correct.
You know, when you type in I feel like I should be looking at Carl for this. Through your host platform, you know, when it says you can enter search words.
Yes.
I wonder how much of those search words actually drive traffic or if it's from other pieces, because I haven't been able to correlate that.
I think those search words are pretty important.
Because I've been going, like, I've been using Google Trends to look up and see, like, what's the hot searches right now, and I've started plugging those in.
Yeah, that's really good. That's good.
I haven't seen any changes yet.
No, nothing, eh?
Nothing.
What are some of the things you've plugged in?
What was Justin Trudeau?
Okay.
That was a hot one.
I don't even know who you guys are
Florida,
talking about.
just Florida as a general thing was a hot one.
Right.
I've been using, like, trying to do more Vancouverite focused ones.
Is this like an equivalent to a hashtag?
Kind of. Yeah.
Search engine optimization. You can also use it on YouTube.
I know what SEO is.
Oh,
I thought you were
I'm
talking
sorry.
about on the where you post the podcast.
It's all the same thing.
Oh.
Because it'll all connect to iTunes Connect or Podcast Connect, pardon me, but then we don't
So
have
where
to
are you
upload
putting
it.
these words?
Podiant.
And then Simplecast.
Where you post them?
Yes.
Like in podcast notes or in the back end?
No, like actually when you're uploading it, it asks
So
you. And you have
people
to fill
don't
it
see
out.
that anywhere.
No.
I don't think so. No, no, they don't.
I'd be kind of embarrassed with some of them that I've used.
Justin
Me
Trudeau.
too.
Imagine
Just
they're like,
cheap plugs. Has nothing to do with the episode.
fucking Justin Trudeau, cannabis. I don't even talk about cannabis.
I'm trying to get someone on. I think that'd be super interesting.
Oh, so Emma Andrews?
Yep.
Outstanding.
I think you had one recently, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I had her back in October, I want to say.
Yeah.
Outstanding speaker. She's a cannabis consultant and she works with a lot of very big organizations. Just incredibly well spoken. She's got a story to share, well connected in the cannabis industry. Her husband also is in the cannabis business. They both used to work for Vega, so very much like Vancouverites. I would listen to her speak for days. So tell me, who would you want as a guest? If you could have anyone.
Gary V.
Okay, that was easy.
I also
Give me another one. Give me another one.
Pete Carroll.
Who's that?
He's the Seahawks head coach.
Okay, who else?
Ryan Serhant.
I know that name. Oh, from the Vancouver or real estate, New York.
New York.
Yeah.
Number one realtor in New York. He sold $1 billion of real estate in 2017.
Yeah.
That is a lot of real estate.
It's a lot of real estate. Brooklyn, man. It's a place to be. I love Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm. He just had a kid, daughter.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, was that on the episode? No, was she pregnant on the last episode? No, they just bought their place in Brooklyn, in Williamsburg.
Follow him on Instagram, so I'm like up to date on what he's up to.
Cool.
What are the goals for your podcast?
My goal is to hit 15,000 downloads this year.
Nice.
Simplecast rolled out their 2.0 plan, so all my numbers look really low compared to what they used to be. So it's only going by individuals, not per device. which made like screwed up my numbers. I used to have a big following in Japan, and now suddenly they're no longer there.
Do you know what that means? Okay, I don't.
So my goal is to hit 15,000 downloads this year. I want to have this podcast event and bring together Vancouver's podcast community.
Totally.
My goal is to release an episode once every 2 weeks, which I'm a one-woman show, so to be able to record, edit, upload, I do my show notes, and I also write a bio on every person that I have on, so it makes it really personal, and it's also very time-consuming.
Totally. How much time would you say we spend on each episode, taping and editing?
Like
6 or 8
between audio
hours?
editing, the clips, the transcribing, and the YouTube stuff, maybe like 4 to 5 hours an episode.
Plus the time that you're here.
Yes,
Yeah, so 7 or 8 hours.
Yeah.
Can I ask a personal question?
To me or Carl?
Do you pay Carl?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Great.
No, he just gets a free beer every time he comes.
I'm like, well, maybe this is like your quality time together. I don't know.
I told him I'd only let him do it if he...
Good.
I told him he could let me start and like help me with the first 3.
Okay.
But he was more or as excited about it as I was. So I'm like, yeah, you have to just stay here.
Yeah. Good.
He's currently building a podcast studio in the basement of where he lives.
This is real life.
So, Carl, people like, I think you two are going to be onto something by doing your how-tos and your tutorials. And you could also rent out that space. Like the only places that you can rent out podcast spaces, Kelly and Kelly in Vancouver, Vancouver Public Library.
Yeah, that's
2 places.
There's not many, yeah.
No, and then if you go in there and you go Vancouver Public Library, you just have the space.
Do they have equipment?
They do. But do you
So
know
that's
how
the other
to...
thing is like it's not super expensive to start, but to get like good quality stuff is expensive.
Yeah.
And the quality of the sound is just so different.
Well, and it's like the same thing why you and I talked about like why recording in person is so much more personable
100%.
and the quality is way better. Way better. And you create like just more of a bond.
100%.
So,
And you
yeah.
can comment on my ugly think face.
I didn't say ugly. I said stone cold killer. I didn't say that, but I'm going to say that now.
I would prefer to be ugly than a killer, to be honest.
I'd rather be a killer.
Really?
Yeah. Also, speaking of killer, Robert Picton podcast. Did you listen to that one?
No.
True crime. So good.
Was that?
So good. Poco represent. Woo, woo. I grew up in Poco.
Did you?
Yeah.
I grew up in
What do
Surrey.
you call Poco?
I call it Poco.
Do you?
Other people call it Pocompton.
Okay, let's talk about language for a second. Can we just say, never say tribe?
Tribe.
Yes.
Okay.
You get it? Do you get why? It's a big thing right now. Because people are like, oh my God, your vibe attracts your tribe. It's cultural.
I've never heard that before.
Okay, great, perfect. It's cultural appropriation.
Oh, God.
Who are we as white people to be saying that we have tribes? I am
I try
Austrian.
to stay away from that stuff.
Okay, great. And then another one someone said was long time no see. Apparently is also like a derogatory sentence, so you shouldn't be saying that either because it's like pidgin English or broken English, and people used to say it to make fun of like people back in the day. And I was like, damn, I really have to start thinking about like how I speak.
But then at a certain point, you're just going to have a list of words in front of you that you can't say. And you're just going to have to tiptoeing about your conversations with everyone.
And how can it be discriminatory if you have no idea that it's discriminatory?
No, but now I feel like
something
it's
like that.
well, because now I feel like because I have a platform, I have to educate and like be a stand for it. You know?
But like,
But at the same time, can you be the voice that is just like, okay, guys, this is getting ridiculous?
I think so, but I don't think we're at a point where it's ridiculous yet.
Long time no see is inappropriate?
Yeah,
well, I mean,
I know.
the most popular in the podcast in the world is Joe Rogan, and some of the stuff
He
that they
doesn't give
talk
a
about is
fuck, yeah.
actually crazy.
Oh my God, the
Right?
stuff he talks about is, yes. Also, can we talk about when he had Macaulay Culkin on? Ooh,
That was weird.
That was so awful. It
I
was
haven't
so
listened to that
bad.
one.
Don't listen to it.
Don't? Okay.
No. Macaulay Culkin started saying it's okay for me to make racist Asian jokes because my girlfriend's Asian.
Yeah,
And
it's-
Joe Rogan was like,
it's not a good way for people
No,
to
if
like
you
you.
have to justify it like that, then it's not going to work.
And Joe Rogan was like, it doesn't work that way. And Macaulay Culkin's like, no, it's fine. I can say whatever I want. And Joe's like, ugh. No. Any toodles.
I don't know.
What else you got for
I
me?
think some of it's ridiculous. I think you gotta get running. You gotta go.
It's already 7:30.
7:25. Yeah,
Holy cow!
you gotta go. Why
Yeah,
don't
we're
you
doing great.
quickly shoot out your social media where people can find you if they want to hear fart jokes and get
Yes,
touched
yes.
appropriately?
I will touch you in a non-creepy way. So you can find the Feelosophy at the.Feelosophy on Instagram. You can find me Kilter&Mint, all one word, on Instagram. You can find me ASHBLUZ. That's Ash Belluz. I used to be ASHBLZ, and someone's like, Ash Balls. I'm like, ooh. No, that's Ash Belluz. So it's Ash Belluz on Instagram, kilter&mint.com, thephilosophy.com. I teach philosophy every Sunday, 10 a.m. at the Garden Strathcona. Have you been? Space is outrageous. It's perfect. Come check it out. And then we're having our Podcasters Connect event Thursday, April 18th, 7 p.m. Also my favorite space at the Garden Strathcona.
We're pumped.
And guess
Very
what?
excited.
I'm going to serve burgers. And not just any burgers, but McDonald's burgers, individually wrapped.
Interesting.
And there's going to be beer. And I'm going to have ribbons for everyone because we're all number one. So I'm like, what's something that I would want? I'm like, I'd like to be recognized for how amazing I am. So
Can you do me a favor? Can you get me an 8th place ribbon?
sure, just for you.
Thank you.
Special price. See, even special price. Is that cultural appropriation? Who knows? So that event, Garden Strathcona, is to bring together Vancouver podcasters. If you're interested in podcasting, if you want to start a podcast, if you have a podcast, fucking come on out. Fuck the judgment. Let's all build our community. And then also we'll do special shout out to Denny and Carl's because they're going to be launching your own how-to. So maybe you guys can even get up and speak. It's going to be super interactive so we can just
You know what
all
I'm
get to know each
excited
other.
about, actually?
What?
I'm excited about learning how to start a podcast. Because I have no idea.
Oh, God.
Carl does it all, right?
Carl, yeah.
This is the best part. I love this so much, and if I could do it every day, I would. If Carl could do it every day, maybe we'll talk about that after. But I just show up and talk.
You've
amazing.
got a good gig, my friend.
Amazing. I love it.
Thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
Thank you so much for
I
coming.
can't believe I rambled for 2 hours.
Hey,
That was good.
it's the best
Are you
part.
gonna?
Feels like 10
I'm assuming
minutes.
you're gonna cut that because no one's gonna listen for 2 hours.
I don't cut anything.
You don't? Me neither. No, full fat baby.
We're going Joe Rogan tonight.
We did. Wow. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much for coming on. That was fun.
What?
I'm excited about the event. April 18th.
Yes.
Super pumped.
Can't wait to see you both there.
I'm trying to get a few people that I know to come with me.
Cool.
I know some people in the craft beer industry that are starting a craft beer podcast.
Perfect. Good.
Maybe they'll help you out with the beer.
Ooh.
I'll connect you.
Money, money, money.
Okay. Thanks for listening, guys. As always, hit me up on Instagram. I'd love to hear feedback. Denny.Dumas.